Hi everyone, my name is Vanetta Phillip and I am sitting here with three gentlemen from the Esimaje Foundation, and we're going to be speaking about the East Port of Spain Thrive Initiative Cradle to Career Pipeline. And first we have here Mr. Walter Rochester. He is a director of the Esimaje Foundation. And Mr. Rochester is a chartered accountant who has been working with PricewaterhouseCoopers for 15 years. He lectured at the University of the West Indies. And right now, he offers financial services to small and medium companies. Next, we have Dr. Oti Esimaje, who is also a director of the Esimaje Foundation. He is a medical doctor who works with Advanced Cardiovascular Institute Surgical Therapies, and he's a co-founder of the Esimaje Foundation. And lastly, we have Dr. David Toby. He is the chairman of the Esimaje Foundation, and he is an orthopedic surgeon who works with disabled children. He currently runs the Princess Elizabeth Center for Disabled Children and also the Port of Spain General Hospital, where he has met most of the young men that this initiative will assist. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
All right. So first of all, I will start with Dr. Oti. We want to know, who is the Esimaje Foundation?
Well, the Esimaje Foundation is an NGO that focuses, has traditionally focused on reaching through the cracks to reach men, young men who have been disenchanted by society and have fallen through the cracks. Fathers, we've worked with young men, helping them to be better fathers. We have realized that while men are the central causes of many social problems, most institutions have barely made provisions to address these issues. We focus on capacity building through our Daddy Please Don't Go program for fathers, helping them acquire positive parenting, life and leadership skills. We also created an entrepreneurship program. And over the past 10 years, we have partnered with various governmental and non-governmental agencies to provide our services free of cost to the participants. This is our, 11th year, and we're now looking at implementing the East Port of Spain Thrive Initiative.
Okay, so tell us more about this initiative. What is this project about?
Basically, the East Port of Spain Thrive Initiative is a place-centered intervention. The place, in this case, is modeled after the Harlem Children's Zone. And in East Port of Spain, we've carved out an area called the Nelson Village Campus. And what we want to do is to create a community of opportunity centered around strong schools, strong families, and strong neighborhoods that allow every child to learn, grow, and succeed by creating a lifelong infrastructure built by parent leaders and local partners, providing access to high quality early childhood and educational opportunities, positive youth development, education, and career pathways in the Nelson Village campus that is bounded by George Street on the west, Piccadilly Street in the east, Siparia Hill on the north, and Independence Square in the south, working with a coalition of NGO partners and contractors to implement defined services to the people.
Okay. Dr. Toby, tell us, who are the philosophical guides on this project?
Well, the philosophical guides on the project, we have 4 guides, 2 in the United States and 2 here. So the first one is the president of Medgar Evers College in Brooklyn, where an initiative like this has been done in Brooklyn very successfully. And the president of the college is Dr. Rudy Crew. And he has, he's essentially a lifelong educator and a public school administrator. He has done a lot of work with an initiative like this in New York and in Brooklyn, really. And he has had a substantial academic research career on changes in New York. He has done a lot of work like this, and over the years, they've been able to do the same project in different regions. And what we've been using, what we want to use Medgevers for, of course we've invited them here, is essentially to go over, let them come here to do what they've done in Brooklyn. We're also using Dr. Franklin, AJ Franklin, who is also a professor of psychology and a professor of education. And what he has done, he's been, his initiative is in Voice to Men. He's done a lot of mentoring in that area. He's also been similar in Boston, done a lot of the work similar to the pipeline initiative in Boston. And he has been very willing to come here. He's come here actually, he came last year, and he has a lot of experience in it. He also worked, he's even been able to work in a Martin Luther King project and different things like that.
Okay.
And he wants to see this initiative succeed because it's the first time he or Dr. Crew has worked in the Caribbean, and they want this to succeed so that we'll be able one day, and I'm sure we will, be able to put this project not only in Trinidad but even in St. Lucia and different areas, and we will make it a Caribbean project eventually. But this is the first one, and we should also say that Dr. Crew in Brooklyn, they've worked with 80 schools, and we've just working with 4 schools here to start with in East Port of Spain.
Okay.
We also had Stephen Weeks from who is based here in the embassy here. He's the communications man at the embassy and the coordinator. So he has been working with us too, and myself here.
Okay. All right. So what are the philosophies underlying this project that NGOs are being asked to buy into?
Well, the NGOs, essentially, our organization, Esimaje Foundation, we will have certain strengths and also weaknesses. And NGOs will have different, each NGO has a strength and it have the weaknesses. So we're trying to team with these people, with all of them, so that they can help us in our weak areas. And if we can marry everybody, then we will become one strong organization instead of being each person just taking a piece of this or a piece of that. We want to get the help because we cannot do it alone, and we don't have the wherewithal. We just a small organization. With small facilities. So, but if we have help from NGOs, we will be able to make it, and we will be able to help East Port of Spain, which we all know needs help. So we will use the collective impact of the NGO and the partnerships and the round tables, and if we work as a coalition, we'll be far more powerful than just trying to do it by ourselves.
Okay. Dr. Oti, well, Dr. Toby just told us about the philosophical guides. Who are the intellectual guides on this project?
So intellectually, this project will be led by Dr. Derek Skeet and Dr. Sheila Paul. I'll be there as well. Derek Skeet was born and raised in Port of Spain, Nelson Street, where he completed his primary and secondary education. He was the youngest of 4 children. He migrated to the United States, and he developed and honed his skills as a professional carpenter.
Okay.
He attended Southeast Secondary School. He was told that he had not much of a future, but to be happy as a carpenter. And while there, he enrolled at Medgevers College, and he pursued an associate degree in science, and later went on to the City University of New York of Arts Science program, where he completed his undergraduate degree. He was sent for a summer internship with NASA, and and then he went on to finish his degree. After completing his BS degree in mathematical physics, he then graduated onto a full fellowship to work towards a master's degree. Yeah.
Okay.
While at Penn State, he received several academic awards, including the Minority Engineer Award. He completed his doctoral studies in environmental science with a focus on the impact of large-scale development in urban environments. He has taught chemistry and environmental science at Medgar Evers for 17 years, mathematics at Empire State College for 2 years, chemistry at Bronx Community College for 1 year, while being involved with different research projects. During this time, Dr. Skeet has mentored over 100 students, some of whom went on to earn their master's and doctoral degrees. His greatest joy is seeing his students succeed beyond Medgar Evers College. At present, he is the Dean of Enrollment Management at Medgar Evers College. Prior to serving as the Dean of Enrollment Management, Dr. Skeet served briefly as the Dean of Students. I would say he is
very qualified.
Very qualified, and,
yes.
and very passionate about the program. Also assisting him is another, she's Tobagonian. She's key to the university. She is very good at grant proposals. Yeah, she right now manages a $10 million grant purse for their projects in their pipeline. She's the acting dean of School of Liberal Arts, as Dr. Sheila Paul, at Medgar Evers College of the City of University of New York. She graduated from Brooklyn College with a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology and English and completed her graduate studies at Columbia University in New York City. She holds 3 master's degrees, a Master of Arts degree in Development Psychology, a Master of Education degree in Instructional Practice in Special Education, and a Master of Philosophy degree in Special Education. She earned a PhD in Education with a concentration in Special Education from Columbia University Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. She is a former chair of the Education Department in the School of Liberal Arts and Education, and is a passionate educator who challenges her students to exceed all expectations. She works diligently in preparing teachers to work with students with all types of disabilities. She's committed and a creative specialist in early intervention, assessment practices, special education, classroom management, behavior modification, and curriculum development for diverse learners in multicultural societies. She's also a clinician who conducts diagnostic, educational, and psychological assessments and provides intervention and habilitation services for individuals with disabilities. This blend of educator and practitioner places her in a unique and authentic position as an expert in her field. Since joining Medgar Evers College in 2003, Dr. Paul received several awards for outstanding contributions to teaching and learning, among them 3 Student Choice Awards as the most innovative faculty, most passionate faculty, and the most inspirational faculty, as well as several Faculty Scholars Awards from the Office of Academic Affairs at Medgar Evers College. She is proactive in seeking out opportunities and resources to fill in the gaps in teacher preparation and support development, and has been awarded several competitive federal grants totaling over $7.4 million to support the preparation of special education teachers, as well as STEM healthcare professionals at Medgar Evers College. Since 2008, she has been a recipient of the City of University of New York's Chancellor's Annual Recognition Award for her commitment to education and public service, having established a long history of securing institutional grant funding. So we're hoping she can help us get some money.
She seems to have a lot on her plate, but as you said, she seems to be, both of the guides that you mentioned seem to be very qualified and able to assist. Besides those guides, are there any universities, any other, I should say, organizations that serve as guides intellectually?
Right. So we have reached out to the University of Trinidad and Tobago, University of the West Indies, to COSTAT, to increase the catchment area to include this East Port of Spain Nelson Village campus, so that we've said to UTT, can we give you can you leave 100 spots every year from this area? So it's so focused. We've also been guided by Arthur Ashe Foundation, J.P. Fernandez Trust, They provide intellectual guidance as well.
Okay, wonderful. Dr. Toby, can you tell us what is the plan to build high-level community or governmental partnerships and raise funds for this project? Where are you getting your support from?
Well, yesterday we met with the Prime Minister, and because he was very interested in the project, and he has assigned two ministers, national security and social development, to us to help us with all our needs, because he understands what the project is about, and he knows how important it is, not for us, but for Trinidad. And I think that is good, because if we've approached the head, so therefore everything will come downwards and everybody will want to fall into line. We will be getting help from the ministers, but also we have been, and in the past we've had help from the corporate world, small help, but we also individuals, and I think that is what is important. We've had help from ordinary people on the street, people who are at work and so on, and they've been helping us. And we ourselves have put funds into it, but the main thing is if we get government help, then we'd be able to do it on a larger scale. Also, we could help from outside of Trinidad, as you see, we get in from Medgar Evers, and maybe we'd be able to also approach funding from large funding organizations outside. So this is the whole idea behind also getting even the NGOs to help us, because they may be better than we are at sourcing funds.
Okay. We are in the process of finalizing our status as a charity in Trinidad. We are a registered NGO, but charitable status allows large organizations to contribute and get tax breaks. We are registered as a charity in the United States, and we're at the moment reaching out to Caribbean diaspora who we want to give towards the project. We are registering with the United Nations. We've been assessed by United Way, and even up to this morning we were assessed by the Fernandez Trust.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're hoping that Ms. Paul can also help us with some proposal writing.
Okay. Speaking of NGOs, Mr. Rochester, can you tell us, will NGOs be considered as partners or contractors? What is required of a partner versus a contractor?
Basically, service providers that who are funded by the Esimaje Foundation would be considered as contractors,
right,
whereas those that would provide resources, and in particular financial resources, they'd be considered as partners.
Partners, okay. Who will ultimately be responsible for the financial management and project oversight of this collaboration?
The Esimaje Foundation with oversight from the board of the Esimaje Foundation, and as well as support from the finance team.
Okay. Is there a separate project management team that will be responsible for administrative tasks such as setting up policies and procedures for the project or contractors, an RFP process for NGOs to submit their areas of interest and program ideas, M&E of the project, budget oversight, that sort of thing?
Yes, the steering committee, which basically is a coalition of the Esimaje Foundation and the NGOs, would be responsible for all of these administrative and financial procedures.
Okay, all right. What will be required of an NGO in terms of financial management and reporting?
Basically, what will be required would be progress reports. These progress reports will be based on KPIs, key performance indicators, and certainly audited financial statements as well.
Okay. All right. Dr. Oti, what is the timeline for rolling out the project, and what do you hope to accomplish in the first 5 years? What are the project's goals and objectives, expected outcomes, that sort of thing, over that period of time? What are you expecting?
Okay, so well, like the first phase is five years. Over the last 9 to 10 months, we've set small goals. One is to outline the concept clearly, which we've done. To engage NGO partners, which we've done. We had held the first roundtable under the leadership of Professor A.J. Franklin at UNESCO's office, which was well attended.
Okay.
We've done a media launch as well as a launch of the event itself with a workshop at the Ministry of Education. We've secured all the necessary approvals to work in the schools and the area. We've engaged stakeholders, government, community-based organizations, as well as our NGO partners. We've started off with the teachers training and the initial mentoring program, and so over the last year we've set those goals, and now we're talking to our NGO partners, you know, who have asked us questions to take back to their board. Now we've identified the intellectual guides. You know, we've gotten agreements. We've signed a memorandum of shared interest. This was signed in the office of the President of Trinidad and Tobago, and it has been endorsed by the Medgar College as a formal agreement to work together as two different organizations with a common goal. And we've started the strategic plan document, and we've identified goals and objectives, which we've broken down into strong schools, which include early childhood centers, the elementary schools, secondary schools, and the transition to tertiary education and then career. Strong schools, strong families, strong neighborhoods. I could take a few examples. For example, under strong schools, we have early childhood centers, which would ensure, one activity is ensuring placement of all children from ages 3 to 5 years in early childhood centers, all children within that zone. The timeline will be ongoing from March. Responsibility will be the foundation staff and the ECC providers in the area. We'll have a placement coordinator. The outcomes are children are enrolled in and attending early learning centers, and we'll use registration reports and attendance records for monitoring and evaluation. I'll give you a few other examples. For example, for elementary schools, we want to make sure that we provide extracurricular activities for all the students in the zone. This will be weekly. One of the different NGOs who are involved in those kind of activities will be working with us. We'll have a visual and performing arts instructor. The outcome for that is that students hone in on self-expression and cooperative skills, and we'll be using participation rates and performance measures to monitor and evaluate that. In secondary schools, we want to make sure that that we have a monitoring program for students, which will be ongoing. Yeah, the public and private partners will be facilitating that. We'll have a mentor coach who will be overseeing both the mentors and the mentee. That's a resource that is required. The outcome is that students are maintained mentor-mentee relationships, and we'll have mentor-mentee surveys. For post-secondary education, we want to ensure eligible students are placed in post-secondary institutions based on their areas of interest. Yeah, this will be facilitated by the career guidance counselor, and the outcome is that students are enrolled in degree programs in higher education institutions, and that they graduate with their first degrees. And we'll be looking at that, monitoring that through annual performance measures and graduation rates. We'll also have activities for the other categories, like the strong families, establishing a parent academy. Outcome of that is that parents are knowledgeable about their children's developmental pathways, and the measurement for that will be the participation rates. And then strong communities, we're going to be establishing male initiatives, which is the core thing of our foundation. And outcomes that we want to see: males demonstrated and improved self-esteem and positive social behaviors and adaptive skills. Males maintain mentoring relationships. Males are employed in areas of which they were prepared. And of course, we've broken down the community partnerships into different things to get different results. We have a whole lot of objectives and outcomes, and it's a strategically based intervention that will be monitored using social scientific tools, and it's very much data driven. We want to see the numbers, what is happening, how are the schools faring from D to F, how many people are graduating, how many are moving on to higher education, and beyond that, through school, ending up in a career, because it is a cradle to career pipeline.
Okay. And lastly, Dr. Oti, I just wanted to ask, after the implementation of this East Port of Spain Thrive initiative, do you see it going in different parts of Trinidad and Tobago?
Yes, like Dr. B had said earlier on, we want this to be a Caribbean network. One of the things that we don't have so much in the Caribbean is human resource. We're small islands, so every person counts.
Right.
So we're not as big as 300 million like United States. Maybe 100, half of them can maintain a nation. So because everybody counts, we want to make sure that in each community, each man is empowered and equipped to be all like, if Derek Skeet had stayed in Nelson Street, he would have remained a carpenter. Well, because he moved his environment, he is now the dean of enrollment in Medgar Evers College with a PhD. And if we can create that same environment in Nelson Village campus, then we will see a lot more progression, and then we can take that model to different parts of Trinidad and the Caribbean, so that we become like the North Asians, where they small populations like Singapore, but each person is highly skilled, and very productive. Yes.
Okay. And Dr. Toby, what previous experience does the Esimaje Foundation have on working on projects of this kind?
Well, as I say, we've been around for the last 11 years, and where we got the idea from, where the initiative from. Well, I've been working at Port of Spain General Hospital for the last 41 years, and a lot of the young men I've seen, and of course I've worked in the area of trauma. Therefore, you see all the victims of violence and people who've committed crimes too. A lot of them have come from the East Port of Spain area. The young men, some of them, they don't even know why they've done what they've done, or why they've been shot, why they've been chopped. A lot of that sort of thing. And then over the years, you realize there's something happening there that we as Trinidadians should become more involved. But of course, everyone is scared of East Port of Spain. Or even if they deal with East Port of Spain, they have to deal with them at the long end of a bamboo pole. But nobody wants to really go inside there, because it could be unsafe. So we've decided, 11 years ago, we decided, and Dr. Oti used to work with me at that time too. We decided that we will try to do something as young doctors, young men. I wasn't so young. He was a youth. I was still fairly old. But we will try to do something. And we've been doing things over the years, not only in East Port of Spain, but mainly now, because of what we've learned outside of East Port of Spain in different areas, in Waterhole, in Monrepo, and all these. We've done small projects there. But we started with, we also started mentoring 3 young boys from East Port of Spain. And what has happened with them, and we started them when they were age 10, and when they went to the SCA, they didn't do too well. But because we negotiated with Fatima College, we got them into Fatima from about Form 2. And the three of them, three brothers, about 2 years apart each one. And now, over the last few years, they got to sixth form, and now one is in the medical college here in UWI doing optometry. The other is in University of Tampa, and the other one, he is now going to the best chef school in New York. Now, some people will wonder, well, why are we sending these boys away? Why don't we keep them here for them to go to UWI? It's a very practical solution there. Where they live is not very safe, and it is also not safe at night. We had one of them working as a chef in one of the big hotels here, and we had to, because he was going to work from 3 to 11, we actually had to he asked, first of all, to get him out of there because he couldn't go home after dark. It was too dangerous.
Right.
And where they live is not safe, to be quite honest. It's East Port of Spain. It's not safe. So we've decided, look, we're going to try and do the best for them, as if they were one of ours. This is what we want for one of our children. So we started doing it, and we hope to get help from everyone, and that's why we here appealing. But as regards to the magnitude because we've teamed up with Medgar Evers, and they've done 80 schools, we do 4. And Dr. Oti will, as a youngster here, will know the 4 or 5, right?
Yeah, Nelson Boys, Piccadilly, Southeast Port of Spain, Latipi, those are the schools in the zone.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, so we don't have to go and reinvent the wheel. They come in and they're very enthusiastic, and they will come and bring their model to us, and therefore we will have a project of big magnitude right there. And I am very confident that it will succeed. We have all the confidence that it will succeed. And then we'll be able to take our model to other areas of Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean.
Okay.
And I think we have a winner here, and I appeal to all our NGOs for the help, which I know we will get from them. And we thank them in advance.
Of course, we must. We must thank them in advance. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. David Toby, Dr. Oti Esimaje, and of course, Mr. Walter Rochester from the Esimaje Foundation. And you've been listening to this discourse about East Port of Spain Thrive Initiative, Cradle to Career Pipeline. We are very, very confident, as the gentleman said, that it will fly, and it will fly high as eagles. And I want to thank you so much for listening, sitting and listening with us. My name is Vanetta Phillip, and we hope you support this initiative from the Esimaje Foundation. Goodbye.